Welcome back to the motherfucking podcast. Last week was, oh my god, I'm still processing it, probably one of the most difficult weeks I've had in a very long while. I don't want to get into it because I've already done a video on it. However, if you want to check that out, you can. We're going to dive into the podcast this week, and I want to do a massive shout out to Liv, who commented on my last podcast on YouTube, who gave me the idea for this week's podcast. So thank you very much, and let's dive into it. So Liv asked me, can you make a podcast about how to build the life you want? As I think that you have overcome a lot and still built a great life for yourself. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So, one thing that I really want to make clear to begin with is whether you realize it or not, you have two choices. You can either live the life that you're settling for, or you can live the life that you want. And I am not for any second going to say that it is easy to build the life that you want. It is not. There has been several times over the last 4 years where I've come up against challenges similar to the one that I'm living in right now. There are times where I've questioned whether or not I can actually do what I want to do. So there's self-doubt in there as well. There's a lot of uncertainty. I remember when I started coaching, I've referenced it many a time. I was earning at fuck all, basically. But the one thing that I knew was it was what I wanted to do. And it always, if I look back to a time when I was settling for the life that I had, my mindset was always, but it'd be hard. It's going to be too hard to set up doing what I want to do. Yeah, whether that be with the podcast, with my coaching, with the new programs that I've got coming out in the new year, which I can't wait for. Whatever it may be. Yeah, I was like, in my head, I had the limiting beliefs that one, I couldn't do it, and two, it would be too hard. And that's where I really want to start on this podcast is when you think, right, something's whatever your passion is. And I often ask this question to people because I'm intrigued. Well, what do you want to do? That's what I always ask. And a lot of the time the question is, I don't know. But I don't really believe that. I don't believe that people don't know what they want to do. I just don't think that they believe in it enough to make it a reality, so then they don't follow through with it. And obviously, if you don't follow through with things, it's never going to happen. And I want to go back to talking about it being hard, right? If you was to ask me, most days now, I'm waking up 6 a.m. If you look back at when I was working in London, most days I'd be rushing about because I was going to be late for work. And the reason for that is I didn't want to get up in the morning, not because I was depressed, but I didn't want to get up because it didn't inspire me. So it was hard to get out of bed. It was hard to go to a job that I don't like. It was hard to put effort into something that I really saw no reward from. It was just something that I did. So I think a point that I really want to make is when you're trying to build the life that you want, it is going to be hard, but the life that you're currently in, if you're unhappy with it, that is also hard. And I remember when I was going to work in London, I don't know why I just always add in London. When I was going to work in London, every day I would say to myself, I am more than this desk. My life is more than being chained to this desk. That was the thought that I had. The first thing that I thought when I sat down at my desk, apart from, for God's sake, here we go again, it would be, I am more than this desk. And I believe that I was very lucky because my battles with mental health coincided with a time where I was really unsure what I wanted to do. So the battle with my mental health gave me, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fear in my life. Well, there's not a lot of fear, but I still feel fear. However, since my battles with mental health, I think to myself, there is absolutely nothing on this planet that is going to compare on a level to how much of a battle that was, how scared I was when I was battling with my mental health. The battle between me and me, so the two sides of my mind, that's the hardest thing I'm ever gonna have to do in my life. So I think once I got through that, or once I started to realize I can fucking win this battle, it took away a lot of my fears and my uncertainties. Like, for example, moving to Australia, the fears were, I'm 27, I'm gonna be too old for this, I'm leaving all my friends, I'm leaving my family. But after I got through the issues with my mental health, it was like, well, if I can fucking do that, this is gonna be a walk in the park. And that was the exact same when I started posting fitness content. And ultimately, I do what I do I've mentioned it before, it is a selfish reason. It's not that I need people to say, oh my God, Nath, you've helped me so much, this is amazing. I'm not that type of person. But it's like a drug to me. If someone says, every day I write in my journal, right? Every day, change one person's life. Because that is a drug to me. Helping people, it is a drug. The feeling that I get if someone says to me that they've listened to the podcast and it's changed their mindset, or my clients with my coaching, they're like, I can't believe how much I'm more confident I am, or how much my body's changed. I finally love the skin that I'm in. I've felt the best that I have in years. These sort of things, they're everything and more in what I do. However, that is the vessel, and these are the components that build the life that I want because of the freedom that I have. And that's always been, imagine me sat at my desk, I'm more than this desk. Now, this year, I think after this week, I would have been on 22 flights this year, which is mental, absolutely mental. So I'm living out my dream. But I think that the biggest thing for me is that you're gonna have to, you have to face fear. It doesn't mean that you don't, I'm just a normal human. I get scared. As I say, I'm launching a new program next year. I am absolutely shitting myself for it. What if it goes wrong? What if no one signs up? What if it's the end? Like, all of these thoughts go through my head, and I'm a normal person in the sense that, yeah, I do have those doubts that come into my mind, but also the other side of me is like, if it doesn't work, you fucking tried, and what is worse, not knowing at all or trying and failing. And that's another huge thing that I would say to people is like, we have this idea that really successful people are fearless, they never fail, everything happens and it just works their way for them, and they've just built these amazing lives. Because often, I remember I did it loads, is like, often you only look at the end result to someone's success, or when it appears that they are becoming an overnight success, when the reality is, at least once a week, I'll remind myself, I'm 3 years into becoming an overnight success. Yeah, because I'm definitely not there yet. I'm definitely moving in the right direction, there's no doubt about it. But I set up a business before, I was like, in a year's time, I am gonna be a multi-millionaire. That's what I said when I set up this business, right? Because I thought, it will just happen so quickly. There was no patience in it. And I think that's another area where people really do fall down. You have to understand, anything worth having takes time. Yeah, so if you want to create a lifestyle that you fucking love, you're gonna have to go through sacrifices. You're gonna have to fail over and over again. You're gonna have to overcome your fears. And you're gonna have to be prepared to put fucking hard work in. No doubt about it. But also, the biggest thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is you need to have patience. You need to have patience because a quote I love is, the time is going to pass anyway, right? So let's say it takes you 5 years to build your absolute dream lifestyle. Well, that 5 years is going, whether you stay in the job that you're settling for, the life that you're currently settling for, the life that you potentially don't hate, or you can spend those 5 years building, putting one Lego block on top of the other. And to me, that's a no-brainer. Like, I wouldn't say it's the type of person that I am. I feel that it's just, there's always a trade-off. And I think that people think, oh yeah, but the security of the job that I'm in, I don't want to be, let's say, poor. I don't want to have no money. But the reality is I'd rather earn less money doing something that I loved than more money doing something that I hated. And that was definitely the case at the start. I went from earning £5 a month to earning 450 quid. Do you know what I mean? So not even 10%, but I made it work. And that's because I was just like, I just can't do that. That life doesn't fulfill me. It doesn't fill me up with any joy. I'm not enjoying what I do. And the reality is when it comes to building a life that you love, work is going to be a huge part of that. And if you're not enjoying your job, then you're not going to love a lot of your life. And that's the sad reality of it, because an average person spends 8 hours a day at work, so that's 40 hours a week. So 40 hours a week you're doing something that you don't love. How are you going to build a life that you love? And in Liv's message, she said that I've overcome so many obstacles along the way to create this life. And yes, I have, but in my head I don't really view them as obstacles. I just view them more as necessities. And I guess as well, like, maybe I'm wrong for doing it, but what I would say is, like, if you're in a position that you aren't enjoying your current lifestyle, you don't like your job, I harness that and I use that fear of going back to a job that I don't like. I use the fear of, if I went back to a job that I don't like, what would that do to my mental health? And then that is an ultimate driver for me to create the life that I want. And I think I don't want to ramble on for too long on this one, because I want to inspire you. I want as many people as possible to live a life that they just never ever dreamed possible. Like, genuinely, if you had said to me when I started coaching 2.5 years ago that I would be doing what I'm doing now, I would have been like, that is not possible in 2.5 years. I remember when I started coaching, I said, I got 3 years to make this happen. Sorry, I got 3 years to move full-time online. Otherwise, I need to look for something else. And I've done it in 6 months. And then the last 2 years since then, or 2.5 years, I should say, I've just literally been a whirlwind. And don't get me wrong, there has been times when I've been close to tears. Is this right for me? There was a time when I put the podcast down and I was like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, there's gonna be times where you just come up against huge challenges. But the reality is when you're in a job that you hate or a lifestyle that you hate, you come up against huge challenges that you don't want to overcome, but you still do it. Like, when you get a shit project planted on your desk, it's like, I don't know how to do that, but you find a way to do it. So I think for To build the lifestyle that you want, you need to overcome fear, understand you're going to fail. You need to realize that it is going to be hard, but I guarantee you it is so much harder living a life that you don't want to live. Yeah? Or not that you don't want to live, because that sounds a bit morbid, but you've got to choose your hard. Yes, it's hard to wake up, motivate myself every single day to deliver the best service that I can to my clients, to my podcast, whatever. But also, it was even harder to go to a job that I hated every single day, waiting for something to change. It's not going to happen. You can't wait for change. Change comes from friction, or change comes from you making decisions. It's not something that just pops up. There's no genie that says, oh, well, today I'm actually going to change your life. And that's honestly what I believed. I honestly just would go into work, I'd be like, one day something's going to happen. One day something will happen. And it was not until I took things into my own hands. And again, you are responsible for your life. And trust me, there is nothing at all special about what I do. Honest, that's the way I view it. Anyone could do what I do or what I have done. The only difference is, I would say, the belief that I can do it, my consistency with it, and my patience. Because if you go, but even if you was to go back to the first episode of the podcast, you're going to listen to me. At the time, I was like, before I started the podcast, I was like, I want a podcast. At the time, I was like, I need a camera, I need a sick podcast mic, I need X, Y, and Z. And then I put it off. And then one day I was like, nah, sod it. And I started recording the podcast just using my phone audio. So the audio on the first episodes are going to be rubbish. But it's just about making a start, being consistent, being patient, and just trusting. Trust in yourself that you can make it happen. Because that's an undeniable belief with me. It's like, anything I want in life, I know. Like, I just fundamentally know I can make it happen. Like, there is no doubt in my mind. If I want something bad enough, it's already mine. Because I know the type of person I am, and I will go after it with absolutely everything I've got until I have it. So, adopt that mindset. Understand consistency, patience, get rid of your fear of failure, get rid of having fear, or not having fear, but understand that is just such a normal component. As I say, I'm 3 years deep, there's still things that shit me up to this day. And as well, don't be afraid. Your dream life starts from you knowing exactly what that is. So write it down. I journal every day. I visualize exactly what my house is going to look like every single day, because that is the path I'm taking. Every day I'm thinking of that. That is making me work towards it. Subconsciously, if I'm walking around this house and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, this is going to cost me an arm and a leg, that's a driver for me to pull me towards it, yeah? Because I'm going to do everything in a day I can to make sure I'm moving in that direction. So, I would say, yeah, that's the dream life you want, or the dream life that you think that you can have. That, I don't believe that exists, because it will be more once you start working towards it. Like, I never expected to be where I am right now. Never. Like, further down the line, yes, but after 2 years, no. No, I didn't. So, you've got to make a start, be patient, be consistent, and just trust you can do it. Like, honestly, so many people get beaten by themselves and their limiting beliefs. Like, you can do whatever you put your mind to. It's just having the want to make it happen enough. Anyway, that was a little rambler. Little rambler. Sorry if there's any background noise. I've moved villas. There's a road just right there, so it's a bit annoying, but I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, hit the 5-star rating. Make sure you're following the podcast. Get a little notification when the new ones come out. Apple Podcasts. I mean, I rate Apple highly, obviously, but I mean, I'm definitely a Spotify man. But if you could do the same, that'd be great. And look, next week I am going to be in another country. Yes. So I'll be recording it from. It's actually, I'm not going to keep it as a surprise. It's the first time I'm going to be at home for 6 years. Can't wait to see my mum. So I'm absolutely buzzing. But yeah, I'll catch you next week from sunny England.